Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. We are kicking off the second leg of my 4-week trip in Ghana. I am in northern region. I am so excited to be exploring the history, the culture, meeting the people, and obviously eating the food. I had a fantastic time and I'm so excited to share with you all through this vlog.
Keeping hope as higher as I can, moving on, embracing destiny.
So we made it to Tamale bright and early. Immediately we landed, I was taken back with how green and lush the place is. This was at the end of the raining season. The dry season had not started yet. There were so many shade trees and mango trees. It was early in the morning, so my driver arranged for me to get something to eat. For breakfast, we had some beans and a spicy tomato sauce, and it was served with some plantain. Plantain doesn't grow in northern Ghana, so this was from the south, and they refer to it with the Twi word for plantain, which is bodie. We also had it with some tea and bread, and I got the opportunity to chat with the driver and also meet some of his friends he plays soccer with. It was a really good breakfast. After breakfast, we went to check out the market. As a foodie, I'm curious to see what is available at the market. In Ghana, a lot of availability has to do with seasonality, so I was just curious to see what was available fresh. Northern Ghanaians are also known to be very good with preserving food. You get a lot of dried leaves, dried flowers, dried fruits. I had such a great time just learning about different things, and I also managed to get myself a traditional smock. After my market trip, I went over to Dudugu's experience. It's run by Amina, who I connected with on social media. Amina is very passionate about showcasing and sharing traditional Dagomba meals. Dagomba people are one of the people groups in northern Ghana. So here I organized for a cooking class, and she showed us 2 different recipes. So prior to our trip, I had previously booked the meals that we were going to be cooking. I ordered a vegan matsunya, which is a bean and dried okra soup, and I got a simple okra soup for my guide. It was served with a sorghum banku, which consists of sorghum that was fermented and cassava that was fermented, and that would be cooked together. Amina just took us through some ingredients. I'm just gonna let the video play.
Our own version of our preparation, we call it yamonda.
Yamonda.
Yeah, you make a base of stew and then you need your corn in it. So sometimes when you're making it, you add this. There are different variations, like ways you can use this flour. So I have my rock salt. This is yaji.
Yaji. How do you make your yaji?
So the defatted, from kulikuli. We call it kulikuli. After you roast or you toast your granules, you melt it into the paste, granule paste, and then you add hot water.
And then you remove the fat.
Yeah, you remove the fat. So after you remove the fat, the dough, you fry it into balls.
Yes.
Like you mold them and then you fry. And then you take it to the mill and mill again. So afterwards you add your the cloves, anything you want to add to give it that flavor. Yes. So that's it. So this is sapirwa. This is a wild edible, a slimy wild edible leaves.
Oh, okay.
Used for soup.
Not
also very popular.
Okay.
Yeah, but our grandparents, they know it very well. So when I was asking around doing my research, that was when they mentioned this, and they told me that I could find it in Yendi. Yeah, so we had someone sent it over. It was a lot.
Is that what you have left?
Yes, that's what I have left. But it's still in season anyway.
Okay.
It's still in season. So this is banzo orogo. Okay, so this is Bonsalago. This is very slimy. So this I don't have the seeds here. They call it sesame seeds, but
it's like Benny seeds.
It's actually different from sesame seeds. I think people are confusing it. We call it bungu here. That's what they use for tubani.
But tubani is
some use this for tubani. So we have 2 types of the tubani too. We have the ones that you cook in the water and the ones that you wrap in the leaves. That's edible. The plants that are actually medicinal purposes.
Oh, okay.
We don't use it as soups. Yeah. And this is banjoba. We call it banjoba, but you could call it scent leaves.
Scent leaves.
So
okay. I mean, Nigerians call it scent leaves. I don't think in the south
I've seen it in Suyani before. Sadness, I thought you guys use it a lot, huh?
Probably. See, my mother has a different type of scent leaf. It's almost like straw-like. It's like the wache leaves, but green. That is our scent leaf. Okay. But again, there's so many people in the south too. You never know what someone uses.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's our sample. But we call it banjo orobo. And then we have kumporentia. So this is the bitter leaf again.
Oh, okay.
So we have kumporentia. It's also cooked and eaten as guara. And then, okay, let me not forget this one. This is from the cotton tree, not the red silk cotton. Yeah, okay. We have the normal cotton,
yes.
That has this black seeds in it.
Oh.
So we call it gumbwao. So that's the gumbwao powder. It's also processed into a spice called cantuan, very similar to dawa dawa.
Oh,
when it's processed, it's all black. They mold it, and then the oil is all out.
Oh,
and then you can use it as a base. As a substitute for granite paste.
Oh, okay.
Mostly when they give you herbal medicine to make it to soup, they recommend you use this one other than granite paste. And this is,
as I briefly touched on with the market tour, one thing that was very apparent was how much things are preserved in northern Ghana because the rainy season is only one and it's a relatively short part of the year. It is important to make the food stretch. So foods are consumed both fresh and dry. You'll see a lot of dried leaves, dried seeds, dried fruits, dried nuts, dried grains, dried beans, and all of that is preserved throughout the year when food is not growing to ensure the people are eating nutritious and delicious foods. It is a very common knowledge that northern Ghana has some of the healthiest foods. However, people in southern Ghana do not know much about the extensive repertoire of foods eaten by people across northern Ghana. So it was very important for me to come and learn and just to see what is available and what I can take on myself to expand my diets, especially given that they have a very plant-forward diet. It was an amazing learning experience. Amina is so knowledgeable. I have shared a separate reel on this experience, and I will leave more details about contacts and information in the description box below. After our cooking class, we took a 3-hour drive to the other side of like the northern belt. So Ghana reorganized the country. So instead of 10 regions, there are now 16 regions. So we actually crossed over the White Volta, which is one of the major branches of the Volta Lake. The trip was so scenic. It's so interesting. This part of the country is called the Savannah region, but it was far more lush than where we had come from, which is the northern region. Once we had gotten to our destination, we actually were going to Larabanga. We put our stuff in our guest house and we walked into the community with a tour guide. The person who was taking us around is actually related to, I believe, the chief or the community leader. So he took us through the community, explained a little bit about the shea butter process, which I'll be doing a dedicated video on, and then took us to the main attraction, which is the Larabanga Mosque. So it is said to be one of the oldest mosques in West Africa. Not exactly sure whether it is the oldest one because there's another one in Mali that they say is about the same age. And the unique thing about this mosque is that it is built in a Sudani style. Our guide gave us a full history of his people, how they migrated to the place, why the mosque looks how it is, and why the mosque is in the place it is, as well as the baobab tree that stands next to the mosque. It was a really, really interesting experience. Everyone was super friendly, and that was pretty much everything that we did that day. So it is the next day and we booked a super early safari trip at Mole National Park. Mole National Park is one of the biggest, probably the biggest national park in Ghana. It traverses about 3 different regions. And when we got there, we were told since it was towards the end of the raining season, it might be hard to see some animals. And unfortunately, we were not able to see elephants, which is usually the animal most sought after at Mole National Park. But they said if you come between March and April, the place is super dry, so you will see a bunch of animals. They're not hiding behind the lush greenness of the park. So once we were done with that, we actually made our way back to Tamale. We went to change some money. If you're not too familiar with the financial system in Ghana, people do use banks, but having your phone is like one of the most important ways to carry money. So I usually put all of my money on my number, and then if I need something, I would just go to one of the little kiosk and withdraw money. So after I withdrew money, we went to the red clay studio. So this studio is in Tamale. I think it's a bit out of the way from the town. It is huge and it is made with red clay bricks, hence the name Red Clay Studio. Tamale is hot, but the red clay is really good with temperature control. So inside the studio was actually very cool. The studio is owned by an artist called Ibrahim Mahama, not related to the past president John Mahama. And in here you'll find different artworks. They use the different artifacts from the colonial past of Ghana from World War II. It's repurposed to show our people's history, our people's culture, identity, and to share different messages that relate to peace and unity and harmony. And it's also a place with a large collection of just old artifacts that people might have thrown away but has been saved to be able to tell the story of the people in the country or just the people where these artifacts have been brought from. So this was a really interesting experience. I'm not much of an art person, but I really appreciated opportunities to repurpose while also telling our stories. And it's also a multifunctional space. So if you go in there, there are places where people can have lectures and many more. So that was pretty much my trip to Tamale. After the Red Clay Studio, we returned back to the airport and back on our flight to Accra. I am actually going to be coming back to the northern part of Ghana. I'm actually going farther north to Tongo, which is near Bolga, and I'm so excited to just dedicate a few more videos to my experience there. If you enjoyed what you were seeing, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!